Hey everyone, this is Charlie the Plug, your host of the Detroit Metro Plug podcast, powered by Empower You Ventures. Don't forget to subscribe so you too can be a part of the biggest empowerment network on YouTube and Facebook. We bring you weekly interviews of Detroit difference makers in the area of entrepreneurship, community involvement, also reaction to business news and community news. This does not happen without your support. Thank you. All right, welcome to another episode of the Detroit Metro Plug podcast. I'm Charles McKay, also known as Charlie the Plug, where I connect people to information, opportunities, and news in the Metro Detroit area. And each week we feature interviews of Detroit difference makers in the area of entrepreneurship and community involvement. So, welcome those who are watching us live on LinkedIn, on YouTube, or Facebook. Happy Wednesday to everyone. I am live in my studio here in Detroit, and I'm doing a virtual interview today. And hopefully, everyone is enjoying this heat wave that we got. Summer is finally here in Michigan. Also, we'll be celebrating 4th of July. We last week a lot of celebration going on for Juneteenth. So hopefully everybody had a good time with that, and also hopefully you guys would celebrate the 4th of July. Safe and fun travel. So, just want to welcome everybody. If you're watching us live and you have a question or a comment for our topic today, please. You can put your comment or question in the chat, live in the chat. We'll try to highlight you. And thank you for supporting independent media. And if you're finding value in what we're doing, please like, share, and subscribe. Let the social media streets know that positive content is important too. So I'm excited for our topic today and our guests. We're going to be talking to a guest who has some experience in STEM, R&D as it relates to science and renewable energy. She's going to share her background and her experience in various industries. She's also is going to give advice for young women who are maybe interested in a career in STEM or the sciences. So I'm excited about that. But again, please drop a comment, a question in the chat. Please like, share, subscribe. This is episode 157. So that's 157 episodes featuring Detroiters doing great things and doing awesome things here in the community. So I'm going to do just a brief introduction and bring our guests up. I was fortunate to connect with our upcoming guests at a first Thursday networking event hosted by TechTown. So every first Thursday, TechTown has a networking event where founders, entrepreneurs, people with startups at various stages connect and be encouraged by one another, share resources, or even see if they can collaborate. So I met this young lady here who we're going to introduce at one of the events, and she's written several books in the area of renewable energy, leadership, and also spirituality. And we're going to have those conversations this evening. So, our next guest is a Ph.D. Um she is adaptable, innovative, and experienced in research science, R&D leader. She's an author, speaker, entrepreneur, specializing in renewable energy products. Our next guest obtained her PhD in chemistry from the Ohio State University. Now, I know we're in Michigan and we're Wolverine country, uh, but yes, she went over to the Buckeye State, got a PhD. So we're going to give her a pass today. Uh, so in 2020, our next guest got a PhD in chemistry. So she's smart science and math. She has expertise in multiple fields of study, including polymers, semiconductors, um, electrochemistry, and pharmaceuticals. Our next guest is well equipped to help your business and R&D program lead and prosper in a time of energy transition to renewable energy sources. So we're going to be talking about renewable energy sources, how that transition is going, what is particular, how does that relate to Detroit, what are some opportunities, and how our next guest can help your business or you get into that field or transition to renewable energies within your business. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the stage for episode 157, our next guest, none other than Dr. Elizabeth Greiger.
Thank you for having me on the show, Charlie.
It's Dr. Greiger, right? I want to make sure I'm saying it right.
Yes, it's Dr. Gregor.
Oh, Gregor. Okay. All right. So I did a little introduction, and I want you to give a chance to share a little bit about yourself, about your background to our audience. So my first question to you is: if somebody was to ask, "Who is Elizabeth?" What would you tell our audience? What would you tell them?
Okay. Yeah. So I would tell our audience that I'm originally from Kentucky, so not Ohio. Not Ohio. Um, that that I'm a research scientist by trade, and I love renewable energy and studying about those different types of renewable energy sources. And I'm very passionate about this because, regardless of what's going on in the world, we're still going to need energy sources that are sustainable and that will power Detroit going forward. Are
Mm.
you still there, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm
Did I
still
lose
here.
you? Did the
Can you hear me?
connection?
No, I'm still here.
Okay. The connection feed kind of.
Froze up a little
Okay.
bit.
Cool.
Okay. All right.
Close
Okay.
some
Good.
tabs here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
closing some tabs here to make sure. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. There we
No, I'm
go.
still here.
Um. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right.
So anything else you want to know?
Oh yeah. Let's start with your childhood a little bit. Um, what made you interested in getting into the sciences? Was there somebody in your family or something else that inspired you?
hmm So I always loved math,
Hmm.
and for a short while, I thought I wanted to be an accountant, but then I realized that might be a little bit boring. So I took chemistry in high school, and I had a wonderful chemistry teacher in high school. And I loved the pretty colors, and I loved all the reactions and all the experiments we did. And so then I decided I wanted to go get a degree in chemistry. And I was like,
Okay.
hey, I can do applied math with that, right? And so that's how I decided to go to Western Kentucky University for my
Mm-hmm.
bachelor's.
Okay. So
Yep.
growing up, you were good at math. You fell in love with math, and then high school, you got exposed to a cool chemistry teacher doing experiments and stuff, and then you went uh, decided, hey, I'm going to major in chemistry because
Yep.
accounting is too boring.
Right. I mean, I wanted to do something math related
Hmm.
that was a bit more exciting. In chemistry, a lot, and physics too, for that matter. A lot of it is applied mathematics.
Okay. Now, how did you feel? Because a lot of the hard sciences, there's a lot of women who go in those fields. What was college life? Were you like one of the few women in the chemistry program, in college, or what was it like for you?
What was college like? So I went to a smaller school, so it
Hmm.
may not be representative of the same that you would see at like a larger university, at least for my undergrad. They were pretty welcoming there. And we had a pretty equal ratio in chemistry. Some of the other sciences, like computer science, there were certainly more men than women. But it was, I would say, about 60-40 men to
Hmm.
women in chemistry. And that was way back in 2008 is when I started
Hmm.
started college.
Okay.
And Yeah, I didn't have a lot of issues there at all because at the undergrad level it was pretty equal. I felt I had a lot of opportunity. I was there on a full ride scholarship, so I was super
Wow.
thankful for that. Yeah,
Mm,
that's one reason I chose that particular university, and I'm very thankful for that because I could focus on my studies and doing research as an undergrad student instead of having to try to balance working a job and going to
right.
school. Yeah,
Yeah. And what was some of the research projects you got involved in as an undergrad?
right. So I had one experience that I got to go to Taiwan for a summer,
Mhm.
and we did some electrochemistry experiments. That was I really enjoyed and valued that because I got to see another culture
Mhm.
and learn more and just work with scientists on an international scale. I was there for about 3 months. That was back in, I believe it was 2011. While at the university, I did some work with spectroscopy and just setting up lasers and things like that, and using different equipment, and kind of analyzing various types of graphs to understand what was going on chemically as it related to snowpack chemistry. And I thought that was cool. So initially, when I went to grad school, I thought, hey, I'm just going to study more of the same, right?
Mhm.
But that's not what happened.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like you had some cool projects to be involved in, studying chemistry. You had a full ride scholarship so you could focus on your classes and your research, and you had that opportunity to go to Thailand. So that's awesome. So, what made you decide to what when you went to undergrad? Did you know you were going to go to graduate school and pursue graduate work, or something happened while you were in undergrad?
That's a really good question. So I'm a first generation college graduate.
Hmm.
My mom took some community college classes, but has yet to finish. I actually think she's gonna. She re-enrolled and she's got a few credits left, and I believe
Oh,
she's gonna finish here, maybe within the next 2 years.
oh!
Um,
Shout out to your mother.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But that was interesting being a first gen college grad, and as a first gen college grad, I didn't expect to go to grad school because, like, well, I'll just go get a job out in the workforce. And
Mm-hmm.
there was some downturn in the economy at that time when I
Hmm.
graduated in 2012. Um, I did find a job that I liked, but my boss, while I worked there, encouraged me. He had a PhD. So he encouraged me to go to grad school because he said, there's kind of a cap to how far you can move up with a bachelor's degree
Yeah.
in the sciences. And then my undergrad advisor also encouraged me to go back to grad school. So I started putting in applications. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do this.
Okay. And what was one of those applications had to be the Ohio State University,
It did. Yes, it did. Yeah.
right?
So you're probably wondering, how did I choose Ohio State,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. How did you get there? Yeah. I don't know if you
Yeah.
applied for any Michigan schools for grad schools, but
Well, I did. Actually, U of M turned me down.
uh-oh, U of M. Okay.
Um, I was choosing between, mainly there were two schools. I was choosing between Purdue
Hmm.
and OSU. Um,
Hmm.
and when you get invited to graduate programs, they'll let you come and visit and meet with the faculty and students. And it's kind of interesting because I was kind of leaning more towards Purdue, but then at the
Right.
last second, I switched to Ohio State.
Okay.
Yeah, they kind of put some icing on the cake, so to speak. The first year I was there, I didn't have to do any teaching assistant work, so I
Hmm.
had a because of my work in industry, I
Hmm.
actually had a fellowship, the Lubrizol fellowship, so that enabled me just to take classes and do research the first year,
Hmm.
which I wouldn't have got that if I went to a different school. And so that was enough to kind of, I'm going to Ohio State.
Okay. All right. And that was just to do a master's in chemistry or something else?
So you get admitted to the PhD program.
Oh.
Often students, like in the hard sciences, like physics, biology, chemistry, you'll
Mhm.
often get admitted straight to a PhD program.
Mhm.
Sometimes you'll get a master's along the way,
Mhm.
and that's where my master's came from, was just along the way. Mhm.
Okay. Oh, okay. And was that scholarship or work? You had to work, teach, be a TA or something else?
Yeah, so a majority of grad students have to be a teaching assistant for
Mhm.
general courses in their field, and
Mhm.
that's what they get paid a stipend for.
Yeah.
And then like their course fees get waived.
Oh, okay,
Is
great.
generally how that works. Yeah.
Mhm. And I'm assuming PhD that you did some original research. What was your project that you had to get your dissertation in?
Right. So my dissertation focused on copper iron oxide as a
Mhm.
catalyst for CO2 reduction
Okay.
and hydrogen. So you hear a lot about hydrogen, right? Hydrogen in the news, hydrogen storage, hydrogen vehicles. So
Mhm.
hydrogen evolution is something that is a reaction that can interfere with CO2 reduction, right? They
Mhm.
kind of compete with each other. And so I also did some work with that because of its competition with CO2 reduction. So I looked at different metal oxide catalyst because we were very interested in cheap, what you could use as a catalyst that's cheap and readily available. So like iron, copper, these different metals are readily available in the environment, right? We want something that's cheap as far as renewable not energy technology goes, so that you can readily implement it everywhere.
Okay.
And yeah, so I was interested more in like the structure and how this affected the
Mhm.
properties of the catalyst. I guess that's the simplest
Okay.
kind of the yeah.
I'm I'm not a scientist, but I mean, it sounds like that's a very interesting project. That was that the foundation to where you began to have an interest in renewable energy?
Yes, and that's one reason I'm so thankful that I went to the Ohio State University,
Hmm.
because they had faculty that were interested in getting into these technologies and studying that more.
Hmm.
And I guess the original reason I chose Ohio State, I thought I was doing more environmental work, more
Hmm.
like studying the chemistry as far as pollution and things like that. That's kind of why I went there.
Right.
But then I ended up more on the side of green energy
Right.
and just studying that side, which still pertains to the environment,
Right. Right.
but it's more about like how can we be sustainable
Hmm.
as opposed to studying the environment itself.
Okay. Now, how did you end up from the Ohio State to Wolverine State? How did you end up in Michigan? And then we connected
Oh,
in Detroit. Yeah.
now that is a long, well, not long, but
Give
so
us
I
the
was at
short
Ohio.
version. Okay.
The short version, yes. So I graduated in May of 2020,
Hmm.
right during COVID, but I defended my dissertation in 2019.
Hmm.
And we all know what happened in 2020. I
Yes.
had
Yes.
just taken a job in Connecticut and I had only been there maybe about 3 weeks
Hmm.
when everything shut down.
Right. Right.
And it was one of those in person jobs that
Hmm.
I really need to go to a lab for, but I couldn't go to the lab.
Right.
And so once everything settled, I came back to Michigan. I actually worked, you might think this is interesting. I worked for a medical marijuana testing lab for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Um, yes, because they were considered essential when all these other businesses were not considered essential in
Right, right.
Michigan.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I can
And
see that.
was at Wayne State for a while, and then
Shout out wait a
worked.
minute, shout out to Wayne State. I'm a Wayne State alumni, so I gotta get some.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so that was more on the bio side of things. But I was
Mhm.
still passionate about renewable energy,
Mhm.
and then ended up working for a pharmaceutical company for a while until a position opened at First Solar, working with solar energy technologies.
Okay, and that's all here in Michigan.
Well, so part of that kind of like overlapped into Ohio.
Mhm.
Toledo's not far
Mhm.
from Detroit. There's maybe like an hour difference between them. So I kind of went a little bit south, and then now we've come back to Michigan again.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. So I see the path here. So you kind of gave a good background of, um, uh, how you got started as a kid, good at math, fell in love with chemistry, got a scholarship. In school, it was in Kentucky, correct? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So got a full scholarship, and then you were encouraged to go to grad school. You applied to U of M, but they didn't accept you. But
But
you had
hey,
other schools. Hey,
yeah.
things worked out. You went through the Ohio State, got your PhD, did your dissertation defense in 2019, and but now you're here.
Hmm.
So I want to focus on some of the stuff you're doing now, and you have created also a book um, that relates to some of the things you're doing. And yes, there's the book, the renewable energy strategist. So I want to share with people the slide here. So yeah, that's the renewable energy strategist, PhD Elizabeth Gregor. You can get this book on Amazon. And so, what is this book about, and who is this book for?
Right. So this is mainly a leadership book for scientists. I provide some quick keys and tips for becoming a leader in the renewable energy sector.
Hmm. Okay, all right. And um, you have some information, or you like to share about how does renewable energy technologies have an impact in what's going on in Detroit in the entrepreneurial sector. Um,
Hmm. There is a lot of work being done in Michigan in general. So I want to
mhm,
talk about Michigan
mhm,
overall first, and then I'll talk about Detroit in particular.
mhm.
There's a lot of research, particularly pertaining to battery technology and
Yes.
energy storage, which you can't have one without the other. You can
Mm.
generate a bunch of energy, but if you can't store it to be able to use it later,
Yes.
that's a problem. And so you
Yeah.
have a lot of battery innovation with
Mhm,
that. I looked up and saw there's some solar fields that are being installed here in the Detroit area. And there's a goal, I think it's by 2034. I could be wrong on the year, to power the municipal buildings on renewable energy.
okay.
They're also looking specifically with Detroit into green hydrogen,
Mhm,
among other things. So hydrogen evolution is quite an interesting technology for Detroit. There's some work being done towards hydrogen fueling stations. I think I saw there's some work being done with ammonia as a
mm,
fuel also. Some of these alternatives, right, beyond just your battery work, you know,
mhm,
battery stations. So I'm really excited about those options.
mhm,
That there's some startups here trying to look for funding and ways they could start to implement this. Specifically, I think with trucks first,
mhm,
powering the trucks, and then going forth because I'm really passionate about not just having one type of renewable energy technology, but you really need a different array of them.
mhm,
So solar for some things maybe hydrogen works better, maybe even different parts of the country.
mhm,
It doesn't have to be a one size fits all. Certain areas get a lot more sunlight than others, right?
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
and so being adaptable with that and tailoring the technology for the needs of a particular area or the needs of Detroit in general and what we have available in this
Hmm.
region and also like right across the border in Canada,
Hmm.
I think is important.
Yes, yes. Um, how can people consider renewable energies as an option for their business? Is it specific sectors? Like, let's say, like a restaurant business or uh, any type of business that rely on some type of energy source. What can be what are some renewable options for them?
Hmm. So there's always solar panels
Hmm.
you could put on the roof. They can be expensive depending on the type, and also the energy storage that you would need for your business could be expensive. There
Hmm.
are some cheaper options, and if it's something you're just wanting to help a little bit, they even make solar paint. There's
Hmm.
a lot
Oh,
of
really?
development in these solar paints where you could keep the same walls that you have for your business and just spray on the outside, right? To start collecting some of the sunlight
I didn't know
that
that.
you could then.
What's in the paint that collects the energy?
So the same kind of the same materials that would be in solar panels.
Wow, I did
Um,
not know that.
yeah, I mean it's still early work. A lot of companies are working on that side of things too. Just some ways that you could,
How is the
implement. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, how is the paint? Is it connected to like a wire or something? How does it store the energy?
You would have to have a way to store the energy also, right?
Okay,
So that wouldn't solve the storage, but that would solve like just a little bit of a collection for
a
you to be
collection.
able to offset some of it. There are
Right.
companies out there that also make solar panel windows, like
Wow.
transparent windows.
Windows. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can do windows, the paint, and of course the panels on the roof that can store energy, and that's a
Mhm.
way of uh, looking at some alternatives. Now, is there certain like grants or funding opportunities for people who are looking for renewable sources, whether it's in the private sector, public, or nonprofit, or even someone's individual home?
That is a really good question. Yes, there are grants out there. I'm not gonna say it depends on somebody's particular situation, whether it's a business or their home. With the way the funding is changing,
Hmm.
it's hard for me to speak to the specific grants that might be available. But even now, like even though certain funding is getting cut, there's still funding for that. You just have to be a little more creative with how you find it.
Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, uh, so you kind of shared some of the latest renewable tech out there on the market right now. Anything you want to elaborate on? Some of the latest
Yeah,
renewable tech?
I mean, there's some interesting work, right? I think Toyota has tried some work with ammonia powered vehicles.
Hmm.
I think that's pretty cool. So the biggest question is, how do you decide which one gets implemented, or like how do you
Right.
decide like this? The city of Detroit. Well, we can't necessarily have batteries, charging stations, hydrogen fueling stations, ammonia. Like how do you decide, right?
Right. Right.
And I believe that's one of the biggest hindrances to certain technologies are fueling stations and charging station locations. Because
Hmm.
if you have a bunch of electric vehicles, for example, but you don't have anywhere to charge them, it's going to limit their use, right?
Right. Right. So we got to have the infrastructure that's built out for renewable energies to make that
Yes.
transition. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Um, well, I want to say that you are definitely a trailblazer in your field, and also building a legacy for yourself and your family. What advice would you give to those who are watching us live and watch the replay for women who are interested in going into any type of STEM field?
Right. So there's a lot of hurdles out there for anybody that wants to pursue their dreams, regardless of their background. I would say for women especially, it's very important to find a mentor
Hmm.
or a coach that's been there ahead and kind of walked that path so they can help you avoid some pitfalls and just make the most of the time and the resources that you have, right, to get you there faster. um, a lot of times maybe in undergrad, the numbers are pretty equal, right, in the STEM fields. But
Hmm.
when it comes to grad school, sometimes that's skewed more to where there's more men. And just having a mentor that's been there before you, they can help you. So wherever, whatever level you're at, if you need a mentor, you can reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you.
Okay. And I
Yeah.
shared in the chat also people can see the email, Elizabeth at the renewablestrategist.com. So they can email you directly if they're interested in mentorship or asking advice. Um,
Mhm.
so um, you also provide for businesses um, some consulting and coaching. Explain
Mhm.
those services to our audience.
Right. So I provide leadership coaching. That's both the clients in a one-on-one setting, but also for corporations,
Hmm.
leadership training. Because when the team works well together, you can get more done and you
Okay.
can get more research and development done. So
Okay.
that's one area. And then the second part is I do science consulting myself too on research and development projects.
Hmm.
So if you I do market research, but I also, you know, conduct experiments myself too, um,
Okay.
and can work kind of as a contractor for them on any particular project.
So you provide R&D services. Now, would this be a particular type of company in a certain phase? Are they in a startup phase or a funding phase or going through rounds with angel investors for a particular like product or you know what how what's the best fit for your R&D consulting?
Mhm. Overall, I'm better at the startup phase where
Hmm.
you're trying to scale up. Sorry, my computer's about to die. Let me just turn
Oh,
on the. Okay, there we go. There we go.
all right, we're good.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Um, so I'm better at the startup to scaling where they're trying to decide, is this technology something we want to move forward with? That's one area I was able to help at the solar company I worked at, going
Hmm.
from very small scale technologies to how do we turn that into larger panels.
Okay.
And so that's an area I really like to help companies with, is how do you scale up this technology to kind of a pilot line scale.
Okay. Great. All right, so that's good. So you have some experience with helping people at the startup phase as far as their R&D.
Okay, cut out there for a second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I guess it froze for a second. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, it's a live show. You
Yeah.
have technology and stuff like that. So
Does
yeah,
that
froze.
answer your question?
Yeah. You kind of gave an
I
example
don't
that
know if I caught
you
the whole
worked.
question.
Oh yeah, no, you were just talking about that you mainly work with. You prefer to work with the startup phase, and you gave an example of a company that you helped with the R&D project. Yes. We
Mm-hmm.
also have. I think you shared with me before we went live that people can get a free gift for. I think it's one of your books. I want to put that in the chat
Mm-hmm.
so everybody can see. So let me
Yeah. With the
put that
purchase
in.
of the renewable energy strategist, you can actually get a free gift. But
Yeah.
everybody that's watching today, yeah, it's that one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. There's the free gift
You can
for
actually check
everybody.
out this website and your free
Yeah.
training.
Hmm. Yeah. So here's I'm going to show the website to our audience here, and share my screen,
Okay.
and they should be able to see that. Yep. Let me let's see this one. There we go. So they go on this website
Yep.
and says thank you for purchasing the renewable energy. There's a claim your free gift. So they click onto that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think it takes them to a video or
And then
something.
they'll get their free training.
Oh, they
Yeah,
get
it
their free
does. It
training.
takes you to video training.
Video training. Okay, there you go. All right. So
Yeah.
all right, so that's cool. So people can go to that free gift from Elizabeth.com. All right. So I got that. So
Mm-hmm.
everyone can see that. They go to the website. Also, the book here, uh, people can get on Amazon. I'm going to show that too. Um, book is they should be able to, yes. Let's see. So there's the book right there on Amazon. The Renewable Energy Strategist 24 Keys to Becoming a Trailblazer in Renewable Energy. So this is a leadership book. And that's for
Mm-hmm.
purchase of paperback for looks like about 15 bucks.
Yeah, and then the Kindle should be $2.99.
2.99. Okay, for the Kindle.
Somebody wants
Yep.
the ebook.
Yep. So
Yeah.
there's that. And all you gotta do is type in the your name as an author and the renewable energy strategist right there. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. And yes, so there's that. All right. Um And what's the best way people can contact you if they're interested in coaching or consulting? Is it just the email that we shared earlier?
Yeah, the email earlier. I do have a website. It's the same as the
Hmm.
email, just not Elizabeth at. But
Hmm.
please email me if you're interested in either consulting or if you're interested in mentorship in the sciences. I'd be very happy to help you. And I think that's super important, regardless of what stage you're at as a
Hmm.
scientist, whether you're still in school or whether you're out in the career world and you're looking to get your next great job.
Okay, that's
Mhm.
awesome. So as we close out, there's some other works that you because you kind of mix your faith also with science. Any you want to share anything about that? Any books that you would recommend, or people can who are interested in that as well?
Okay, the other work that I do.
Yeah, well, you've in our
Um,
title we talked
I'm sorry, it
about.
cut out again. You
Oh
said,
yeah, sorry about that. You've integrated your faith in your work that you do, and you want to share a little bit about that, the books that you've contributed to. I don't know if it cut out or did
oh,
you
the
hear
other
me?
books. So I
Yeah,
also
yeah.
have, yeah, I also have this book. I am a Christian, and I've written this book and have more planned about teaching chemistry alongside biblical truth as well. Um,
Okay.
and that's also a passion of mine is teaching science.
Hmm. Okay.
So they can contact me for that as well. So I teach science, I coach science, and I consult.
Okay. Teach science. Uh, you consult, and yeah, you're definitely leaving a great legacy. So we're here at this platform. We celebrate what people are doing, particular any positive contributions here in the city of Detroit area, and we've connected at Tech Town. For those who don't know, I'm a Tech Town alumni for the retail boot camp, as well as my business is registered. One of my businesses is registered through Tech Town, and I'm glad that we connected and you have an opportunity to share your story.
Mhm.
Just want to again let people know that if they're interested in reaching directly to you, I'm going to share that email again. So you should be everyone should see that email, Elizabeth at the renewablestrategist.com. If you're interested in booking a coaching call or getting advice on your company's renewable strategy, be sure to check out her book. The Renewable Energy Strategist. You can get that. Put that in your shopping cart on Amazon. Just typed in the title of the book, the author's name, and you can purchase that. And then also, there's a free gift training, so you can go on there and you get the training. And who's that training for?
That training goes along with the book. I basically
Okay.
explain all the leadership keys that are in the book in video format and give some extra detail.
Okay, great, great.
Yeah.
Any closing remarks as we close out this interview for today?
Right. So even if someone's listening out there and they're not interested in science or they're not interested in renewable energy, I just wanted to say to you, if you haven't already as an entrepreneur, go out there and write a book and get it on Amazon, because just carrying a copy of this book around, you would not believe the doors that it's opened.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. I encourage those who are in the startup phase, if you can write down your journey and your expertise and have a ability to teach what you've experienced, and having a published book through the various programs through Amazon or self-publishing, that does open up doors. So yes, yes.
Mhm.
Well, Elizabeth, we thank you for being on this episode 157. And for those who are going to watch the replay, we just want to encourage you. We shared the websites for your free gift, the email if you're interested in learning more about STEM and asking her direct questions, or you're interested in a consultation. We encourage you to reach out. And if you're finding value in what we're doing, please like, share, and subscribe. All right. So, Elizabeth, that concludes episode 157. Thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Charlie.
Yeah. All right. All right. So that concludes this episode, and want to wish everyone a good night. And please like, share, and subscribe, and support those who've been on this podcast. Hey everyone, this is Charlie the Plug, your host of the Detroit Metro Plug podcast, powered by Empower You Ventures. Don't forget to subscribe so you too can be a part of the biggest empowerment network on YouTube and Facebook. We bring you weekly interviews of Detroit difference makers in the area of entrepreneurship, community involvement, also reaction to business news and community news. This does not happen without your support. Thank you.